G'day mate, welcome to Factorio 1.1 with me, Jedi. Yep, 1.1 has dropped. It is in the experimental phase currently. There are a couple of bugs with it. You have been warned. Actually, I read a really bad one about autosaves causing the map file to corrupt. Which sounds really, really horrible when you say it out loud. But it is here. It is into the experimental stage. It has a whole bunch of new features. Now, there's no real new content. Content generally comes with a DLC. But there's some pretty big features. So, first off, I want to do a couple of things. I'm actually in editor mode at the moment so I can control the day-night cycle because I want to show you Factorio at night. Because we did have a previous update that really improved the nighttime ambience of Factorio. But they've taken a step further. If we hit the play mode, so we're actually running forward, and I just want to get, yeah, that's the darkest part of the night. Those furnaces look amazing. And not only that, it's the lights as well. The game is vastly improved. Actually, if we jump out of editor mode and jump in the car real quick, we can now see that the car headlights light up. The train, same story. Its lights light up. As long as it's going forward, it turns out. If it's stuck there at the end of its train track trying its hardest, lights don't light up. I didn't check that with a car, actually. Nope. Even if a car's hitting a tree, the lights still light up. Buy a car. Yeah, so couple of new updates, well, couple of new big features. Anyway, with that said, let's just put in always day mode. Like that, and let's go through our list. Now, this is not going to be an exhaustive list because there's a lot of things in the changelog, but I do want to cover some of the really important ones. So first off, we're going to start over here with our lovely Spidertron. Spidertron has been slightly upgraded. First off, we have the grid that we had before. We also have the trunk. We can also have logistics. So I can actually request things for the Spidertron to have the bots auto-deliver it. So we can actually take this up from 200 to 300 for argument's sake, and we'll have another 100 rockets being delivered. At the same time, we can see if we jump in the Spidertron and water him far enough away, that LED should change, and I'm guessing that is another bug maybe, because that's outside the logistics network. Or the fact, no. Do I have? See, I said it had a couple of bugs in it. Okay, so that LED should change red if the logistics stop working. Obviously, Yep. Okay, so small bugs. It's okay. They'll get fixed in 1.1.1. Okay, so next thing we have is we've added use of blueprints in map view. So I can select that and I can paste that around, which is one of those minor changes, but it's sort of fairly important. There are limitations. It does have to have full radar coverage to be able to see things, and same story is you can't just, you know, place things outside outside visibility, but you can also use the decon planner from map view, which is going to be one of those neat things. At the same time, we can actually see that things are marked for decon. They'll actually turn red, and there are a couple of options in the map view. So now we can turn on and off robots, which is really, really handy. We can turn on and off recipe icons. Now, both these were available as a debug option previously, and you'd seen many of my playthroughs, I'd actually have these options turned on by default. On top of that, we now have rail signal states, so we can actually turn this on and see that these are green signals, these are green, these are red signals, so on and so forth. Lastly, we have map tags. We can turn the viewing on and off of that, but we've also got an option here to add a tag, because a lot of people I found didn't know that you could add tags to the map. So we could put down a test tag, which has a snapping now, so we can set to a 64 snapping, and it moves very far away, or we can, oops, no, let's click in there again, test 2, and we can set this down to a 1 tile snapping, which means it only moves a tile at a time, which is actually really, really handy if we want to put a second one. Whoa, that's massive. Let's not use an icon. Let's just put a second one right beside it, because that was always a big problem with the current map tags. You couldn't tag two things too close to one another. There's also add a pin command, which again used to be a hold down control, hold down alt and left click. I don't know how many times I had to tell Pooper what the commands were, but now a lot of people, Pooper herself and other people, can now see you can do this straight from map view, which is just one of those little quality of life changes that was probably overdue. We have a couple of new things. So we also have, if we hover our mouse over here, we'll actually get an indication of like this needs a repair. Those items up there are missing being able to build, because obviously the robots don't have any yellow belt. So we can actually hover over this and get little arrows that point in the direction of where these things come from, which again, one of those small quality of life features was mentioned a couple of weeks ago in a Friday Facts. We do have, let's go with the unlocked recipes. So if, let's do walls really quickly. And I should have shown the labs at night mode. Let's do... The labs look awesome. Like, you've got to agree with me. The labs look awesome. Okay, so once you finish your technology, you can actually open up your crafting menu, and if we go over to here, I've unlocked walls, and we can see we've got a little icon there over them. Now, the icon is handy, especially for modded games. I think for vanilla, especially for experienced players, it probably might get a little bit annoying. There is a interface settings we can turn off, but I gotta say, I'm actually playing Factorio 2 and Space Exploration over on Twitch. And there was a recipe that I could have done with a month ago with oil processing that I didn't even know existed until one of the other players told me about it, because it's a multiplayer game. Obviously, several of us are on at different times. Somebody finished a research and I didn't even know it existed. So another one of those tiny little quality of life features. I really hope it's player dependent. So i.e., you know, if another player logs on and uses the recipe, but I haven't seen it, right? When I log on, I actually get to see that recipe. Next one we have is Spidertron remotes. I have a Spidertron remote here somewhere. You, remote, where are you? Hey! We got a nice little line for where the Spidertron's coming from. On top of that, I can hold down shift and I can set up some waypoints, which is just awesome. It means that little lakes like this, which is, well, this is probably all right. No, if the Spidertron was going this way, you get stuck. It means Spidertrons can now be told to go around a lake rather than doing their very, very best to walk through it. On top of that, Spidertron remotes have a couple of little settings. So we've got left click to send a Spidertron places, which we've had forever. We also have shift plus right click to reset the Spidertron remote. That is such an important feature. Very, very highly requested ever since Spidertron was released. We can still relink it to a Spidertron the exact same way we used to. On top of that, we have a shift left click to add a queue. Next up we have is control plus left click to follow the entity selected. So if I hold down control and click me and I run all over the place, I can have a Spidertron following me forever. Sounds a little bit pointless, you might say. And if we, of course, tell the Spidertron to go elsewhere, it'll just head off on its merry way. Can I get a couple of Spidertrons, please? So, I've put down this Spidertron, which I'd already picked up previously. I'd already set his logistics request to 200. This Spidertron is now set to 600 with the request turned off. And he's also got items in his grid. So we're going to put down a brand new Spidertron. And again, one of these lovely features that they've added is I can hold down shift and right click on this Spidertron, as I've been able to do in the past, and I can hold down shift and left click on this one, which will copy across some important settings. One, it'll copy across the grid contents, providing the items are in my inventory, they'll automatically get transferred to the Spidertron. If they're inside the robot network, unfortunately, they won't. So something you need to keep in mind. On top of that, yeah, that LED is so broken. On top of that, also copy across the robot requests. Oh, okay, that's working, but that's not working. Oh, I got the LED in the wrong spot. There you go. I think that LED is probably pointless because if the Spidertron's not working, it's dead. But yeah, we can turn on the request and obviously have the items delivered. On top of that, I can copy that one to there and make another duplicate. You know, fills out his grid request the exact same and his logistics request the exact same. Let's get another Spidertron. We're going to keep you nice and vanilla. We're going to have you have a remote. I'm going to have you, it's control click to set you to there. You control click to that one. There we go. And I wonder what happens. Let's go shift right click to clear that. And control click you to there as well. And we can have a Spidertron. Oh! So I can clear that remote. No, wrong button. Shift plus right click to reset. And now I can have one remote that controls 4 spiders, actually, which just made them a hell of a lot more deadly. On top of that, we do have when they stop moving, you can now hover your mouse over them, see what their equipment grid is, see how their storage is, how full or empty it is. We can't open them remotely. Can we just give you in the trunk? Let's just give you a couple of items. So we can't... Oh, actually, we actually get to see what's in their storage trunk at the same time. What requests they have on delivery. How much ammo they have in them. All those important things. So now you can remotely check on your war spiders and double check what's in their inventory. And make sure that they're still ready for combat before you walk them through yet another biter base. On top of that, if you're using Spidertrons to lay down solar panels, which they are very, very good, I must say, at laying down solar panels, you can double check their inventory rather than potentially walking them miles back to find out that their inventory was still full of solar panels. They were just being lazy at the time. So, next update is they've added blueprint flipping. So, of course, we had blueprints previously. Actually, let's do a proper blueprint. So, blueprint, we have the snap to grid, which we had for a while, but we can also update the grid position manually, and we can also set a relative number. So, a little bit more handy when you're trying to make unique blueprints. There's also a way, I can't remember how to move the... There we go. Shift. Shift to move the flag in the middle. Very, very good if you're trying to make some very, very large blueprints that you need to snap to a grid. Next thing we actually have is... I can't remember. Oh, it's rotate. Rotate. So we can always rotate the blueprints. We can press F to flip it horizontally, and G to flip it horizontally. So we can now flip blueprints. There are some caveats. It does not work with any train signals or train stations. So if I copy just rail, I can obviously rotate those still. I can flip them, yes, every different which way, yes, but if I copy rail with a signal or with a station and I try and press F or G to flip it, doesn't work. If I do the exact same, I'm going to cut out the train station, still can't flip it. If I hold down Shift JD, remove the signal, still can't flip it. So it does mean for your outpost, at least you can take an existing blueprint, copy it like so, and strip out the train stations and the signals, take the whole thing, rotate it or flip it, whatever you need to do, and then rebuild the train stations and the signals. It is a big update. I really like the feature. I have heard that it's completely broken when it comes to oil refineries, maybe. So there are some small teething issues. Next one we have is belts. Belts can actually be built locked into a straight line. So if I hover my mouse up and down, nothing happens. Same as if I hold down Shift for ghost mode, we can build only in a straight line, which is probably really handy because I am notorious for not building things in a straight line. On top of that, we do have this lovely new feature where I can now ghost a belt. And as we can see, the belt is being rotated by the bots. Very, very handy. Same time, I can rotate a ghost. So we can rotate a ghost build at the side. The other thing we've had added, which the bot should hopefully be able to do for me, is I can drag red belt over yellow belt along with change the direction at the same time. So we can have an upgrade and a change direction all in one pass. We have done that one. Blueprint editing. We did that. Sorry, I'm going through the patch notes because there's a lot to cover. Inventory transfer. So if we go to equipment grid, and I drop things across, often you'd lose the item in your inventory and you'd have to go and pick up another one and click it across as well. Now it's as you can see, let's go with the 3 legs. 1, 2, 3. And then I get the next set of 20. On top of that, this is the important one. If you hold down control and left click, it'll just fill it. Same with control, left click on a blank spot. Empty the inventory, empty the equipment grid. Much, much, much improved. Just one of the small quality of life features. We have... Spidertron shows its item color. So, again, I have a red Spidertron in my inventory. When I pop him out, he's going to be red. If we change his color to blue, sure, and pick him up, I should really research steel pickaxe. He's now blue inside my inventory. If I pop him down, set up the remote, link it to him, and pick him back up again, slowly, and drop him on the ground, he's blue on the ground. If I link that remote, that's red on the ground. So they now retain their item color when they're actually an entity on the ground. We also have was resetting the Spidertron remote. Spidertron tries to move their legs. That's right. Let's put a report right there under all of you lot. Yep, all the legs got moved out of the way. If we deconstruct it, and we'll put down another one. That looks like a horrible spot. Yep, can't argue with that. We have... Oh, power poles. So, in the age of Factorio, if we took a power pole and we held down shift and ran with it, we'd end up with a long line of ghosted power poles. Entirely fixed now. At the same time, if we started out at an outpost and dragged our power poles back into the network, we'd find that that very last connection would fail every single time. Again, beautifully fixed. It now links in perfectly. We also have the exact same with undergrounds. So I'm sure everybody's done this once in their life. Picked up an underground and held down shift and run with it. Oh wow, it fast replaced into a belt. That's dangerous. Okay, we can now ghost down underground belt at the right distance, and the one that I love, because this is the one that haunts me the most, is underground pipe, because I will often run out of underground pipe and I'll just keep ghosting away and hoping the bots will actually come and catch up with me. We have power poles in a blueprint. Let's do this as a blueprint. We can now see this is where the power poles are going to connect, and hopefully if I actually have substations in the network and I paste this down, try again, Judo. If I paste that down, it sort of worked. We can see that the power poles retain their wire connections. So you are gonna find, if you're interested in any of my smelting blueprints and those sorts of things, they're actually gonna get a complete makeover in the next day or two and pop into my Discord. Well, be updated and they'll be listed in my Discord. So by all means, if you want to jump my Discord, links are always down in the description below to grab those updated blueprints with clean power cables. Now, there are some caveats. If we go back to the original blueprint, we can see substation 1 links to substation 2, links to substation 3. Outside the blueprint, we go to good old Factorio wires connect to anything. But inside the blueprint, they connect properly, and they are however you set up the power cables in the first place. So that is very important. We have upgrade planner. On a brand new installer, I obviously don't have half the buttons. Alt U found the button. Okay, so we can see we have an upgrade planner. Now, here previously, if you did an upgrade planner, undo didn't do anything. Now, if you undo something, it'll actually reverse the order. So I can set that to upgrade, and at the same time, I can undo it, and it will un-upgrade. So really, really handy if you happen to accidentally belt braid and then use upgrade planner on a section of the base and find out that your section of your base had been upgrade planted away and your belt braiding is broken and your base is all now contaminated. On top of that, we have a couple of things down the bottom left-hand corner. So you might notice our original character GUI has gone from the right-hand side to left-hand side. I did mention this when me and Mojo went over the Friday Facts. I actually had a feeling it was because when 1.0 came out and there was lots of people streaming Factorio, nobody knew where to put their face cam, and now it frees up the bottom right hand corner for face cams. At the same time, the bottom left-hand corner was, let's be honest, it was only used for crafting, and we can now see, let's go and craft 15 gears. We see crafting still exists, and if we actually jump in a car or tank or something, we can see that it's still there. The car actually moves it across. That's a prime example. Who is it? You, this Spidertron. So this Spidertron, as you can see, when I jump in it, I can now see the Spidertron, or the vehicle's grid, the vehicle's info plus my own info as well. And it also means I can see the Spidertron battery along with my battery. Speaking of things, in the menu, this is now the stock menu. It is the flat GUI. If you don't like this GUI with the crafting, the character, the logistics, and the crafting menu separately, there is in the settings menu interface, there is flat character GUI. At the same time, if you don't want to force belts to be built in a straight line, there is an option for that as well. So now you can go back to good old belt span. So if you change that, you go back to a separate crafting and logistics menu. I've actually been running with the flat GUI more often than not. Actually, I really prefer the flat GUI, but with the flat GUI and the new updated GUI, it means the whole armor character tab has disappeared entirely. So to change your color, you have to use these buttons up here, and unfortunately, one of the things I was a little bit upset about disappearing, and I really wish they would bring back, is that is such a horrible color. But at least I can now confirm things with the E button. That was another big one. So confirm and close things with the E button. Yeah, you can't see how fast your battery is charging in empirical numbers. That was really frustrating, actually, that we now got a flat percentage, but we can't see exactly how much charge you have, and makes it a little bit awkward if you're trying to build the perfect power armor that you can keep running and using forever without actually draining the battery. So, another couple of things we've had added is trains and train stations. So I have a fairly simple train system here. We've got a couple of smelters we're going to unload into, a couple of iron depots we're going to pick up from. We have this new lovely button here that is enabled trains limit. So if I set that to 1 and I tell this train automatic and this train automatic, hopefully you're going to pop up with an error right about now. Oh, that's even better. You don't have the orders copied across. Try again. I need to rename that station to Dot. Why for you not work? Because I forgot some signals. Okay. So we should have... So we've got 2 trains that can go to 2. We've got iron smelter here and iron smelter here. So both these guys can obviously unload. But this is set to a train limit of 1. So we can only have 1 train down here coming up and loading. And we can see we now have a lovely indicator here that says destination full. Which now means, and this is going to be probably the biggest kicker for a lot of Factorio players. If I just add a bit of track in there. It means you can set every iron outpost to be called iron outpost, enable the train limit for every different outpost. So I can set this one to 3. This one's allowed to have 3 trains. The other one's only allowed to have 1 train. And if I don't get hit by train, copy, automatic, and automagic, and hopefully all goes well. Did I set the limit too high? I think I set the limit too high. Let's go with 2 trains. You're empty. You can't go to iron outpost because... Did I forget another signal? I think I forgot another signal. There we go. So we should find... One of you guys say destination full? No. Hey! I got one. Alright, so we have a train saying destination full, which means you can actually set each different iron outpost to, hey, that's a big iron patch. That can support 5 trains. That's a little iron patch. It can only support 2 trains. and actually use this individual number to limit each different train station. Same with your iron smelters. You could either have many smelters all over the place or just one or two. Entirely up to you. As we can see, we've also had this addition, so we have trains with the stop numbers is now actually numbered, so we can see exactly how many trains are set to come to these stops. We've also had the rich text editor added, so we can have, as you see, this is called Iron Outpost. I can now click this one and say, hey, I actually want to have you be Iron Outpost, like so. So we can actually use the rich text editor with a GUI, which was desperately missed. We can call it Spiderspawner because reasons. What else have we got in the changelog? We have power poles done that, underground belts done that, vehicle GUI done that. Oh, inserters have got an update. So inserters, we now have this little icon here. So this is physically what's in the inserter's hand, and in my case I've got limited text, so it's actually only got a stack size of 1, but it means I can now physically remove things from the inserter's hands. And if we use a live inserter, we can see, you know, moving iron, and we can see waiting for space in destination is actually what's stopping it moving any faster. Same with this one, waiting for source items. We can see there is an iron plate there, and I can steal it straight out of the inserter's hand, which is really nice. And from looks of it, resets the inserter, when it's partway moving. On top of that, as you can see, I've hooked this one up to a couple of wire conditions, and we can see the wires are actually leaving the inserter and going off in the orientation that they should be going off. We can also change that to 1, and we can see now it says disabled by control behavior. So I can actually get a status update on the inserter. I could always get that over on the right hand side, but now it's physically on the inserter when I click on the inserter, and that lovely little GUI here that now I can physically remove things from an inserter's hand, because there's a couple of times I've contaminated a belt or two, and you know, it's been easier to rip up the inserter rather than empty the inserter's hands, because there's so much crap on the belts, and generally my inventory is very full. We also have tips and tricks window. So tips and tricks window has had a thorough update. It's now a live GUI where you can actually see what's happening. I have no idea what that's going to be making, but it's making us something. Oh, it's a repair pack. Oh, God. So we have an updated tips and tricks window, which now happen live in the game. So I can actually see a lot of the more complex and in-depth mods starting to use this tips and tricks template, because it is actually a live demonstration of what's happening in the game. So, you know, explaining how the Q button works, how stack transfers work. Oh, it's a tutorial. That looks like we can actually get a play. Limiting chest, so on and so forth. Copy and paste settings. Again, this is going to be another live demonstration, which is probably going to put a lot of my YouTube videos, you know, way lower in the search results, because they're going to be far less used. But, you know, the feature's there, and it's a nice little feature. Anyway, I think that's it for my little list of updates for 1.1. I'm probably missing a whole bunch of things. There is the changelog is massive. It's several pages worth, along with a whole list of new features for mods and all sorts of things. In saying that, a lot of your mods are going to be broken going from 1 to 1.1. I have spoken to some mod developers. I have a whole bunch of mod developers actually on my Discord. Some of them have already updated. Some of them are in the process of updating. Either way, things are happening, and things are definitely getting fixed up slowly over time. Anyway, I think that's everything. We did the hovering. Oh, did we do the hovering? Yeah, we did do the hovering. Yes, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover in this video. Either way, one hell of an update. It is released. I will warn you, it is experimental. I will also warn you, there are bug reports of it killing the autosave function and corrupting your game. As you can see, I've had no autosaves because I actually disabled them entirely for this particular video. But, you know, it's there. It's something to worry about or not worry about. It is an experimental update. Either way, I can see if there are some major problems, we will fix it promptly. And at the same time, I'm sure all the mod developers are scrambling to update their mods. Anyway, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next Factorio video. All right, bye.